are here into the CD meeting number 19 UTC on March 16, and I have the pleasure to be with my fellow CDs all here today. So we have Nathan James, Joshua Seymour, and Joey with us today, and Edgar joining also of Edenia. Thank you very much. We have Andrew online, and we have Jesse Jaffe with us, CD Liaison 1. So first, little update as always. So I begin with myself. So basically, last week, just after the fireside chat, one day after, Luka was accepted on Pomelo with the upvote bot, and I have gave straight away, as I was committed to do, 3,500 EOS through Pomelo with my funds. And then I was followed by Nathan here. That's nice. And there was also Joshua giving something, and I lasted by giving 500 EOS more, and that's make the donation for the upvote bot to ensure to have the video reminder on 24 hours before the 2 weeks that we have after the end of the election to push the video online. There are the upvote bot reminder coming. There will be not too much spam. Maybe they will wait a little bit, and then they will choose the best time to remind the people. Then also I gave to Edenia 2,500 EOS for the unclaiming fund of 5,000 EOS. So for first part to implement those unclaimed funds. And I gave 160 EOS for the UTC time on the membership election page, and also into the election page to be sure to have the time coordinated. That was a remark of Lenny and other member into the community. We have to communicate in UTC time. That makes sense. When we have the saving lights, change of time around the world, that's great to communicate in UTC time. So that's all for me on this week. And also, yeah, recording. That's a recording week for me for the Antelope Swiss workshop number 19. I have interviewed Jesse, Vlad, Tadas Veitikunas, and Eden Fractal, Dancing Joy. That's a big workshop. And I will last with Gabriel Shaw of Camazote Finca in Yucatan in Mexico to interview him. And an EOS Dean that will be unveiled on March 23rd. So EOS Digital Extended Network. I am behind this initiative, and I unveil what it is. So that's my update. I let Nathan back with us. Thank you very much, Nathan, for your update.
Hello. Good to be back with you all. I spent quite a lot of this week, the time that I have available for those that weren't here before I actually moved countries, so time's a little less available right now. I spent a large portion of it doing the assessments for the first 3 questions for the why. This is based off of all of the stories that happened from all of the questions inside of the why topic. I just posted it now into the why channel. There's 2 Miro boards, one of them which is a personal assessments. This is where I went through each of these stories myself and tried to really tease out the common thread that was in each of those stories, and then put them all together, see what the commonalities are between them, and then find the top 3 commonalities across all of the stories for those first 3 questions. There are still 2 questions, which once they finalize, I'll add them to this and compound all of that together. And then there's another Miro board, which is the community assessment. This is what everybody in the community has been working on against that Miro board that I posted. Everybody's been going in and leaving comments about what they think is the common thread through each of these stories, or the thread of that story, in order to find the common threads. And then I ran that through some analysis programs. You can also see there's a kind of like a hotspot of words, which words were used the most, which is actually quite interesting. Eden was one of the words that came out most in a lot of this, unsurprisingly. but EOS wasn't as high on that list as I would have thought it would have been. So it's an interesting exercise, regardless. These stories weren't necessarily about Eden or EOS, but more about people's experiences within both Eden and EOS. The next step for this is we have the final question, which I actually just gave the last call for yesterday. And then after that, a new mural board will be created with the final 2 questions. We're going to take the outputs from that, like I mentioned before, compound that into this and see if we still have the same 3 outputs as before. And then those will be the 3 different directions that are kind of the suggested directions from this discovery process. It doesn't mean that we have to take these directions, but those are just what came out of the process. And from those, one has to be selected, and that has a whole different process, which I don't really want to get into just yet because I want to finish this stuff first, and then we can move on to that next step.
You speak about the next step. Thank you to say that, because the last week when you were not here again, we have some question on the bylaws by Chris Barnes, shout out to him, jumping into this CD meeting last week and asking if us, the CD, we will ratify the bylaws. And as you were not there, I answered that we will have to come in consensus, the 4 CDs that we are, and put that in one voice clearly what we will do with those bylaws. Because, by the way, stressing a little bit also, there are 14 days period before the next election to make the things clear, and we have never been very clear as it should be, loud and clear. So I just want to remind that here, that we take some stance and be like a group of CD, one voice on that. That could happen today into this CD meeting. I think in terms of timing, we have to be a little bit committed on that. That's very important for the next term. Okay, just a little reminder on that. I give the mic to, I see here, Joey. Thank you very much, Joey. If you can do your update. Thank you very much. Something new during this last week.
This week, my report will be shorter because, as I mentioned last week, I uploaded everything on my personal website, Joseph.to again, where I plan on updating regularly everything that's been completed every time we successfully achieve something with the funds that was given to me. And as I mentioned last time, we're focusing a lot on the website and making it redesigned so that it can focus more on Eden knowledge and the Eden wiki that we're developing. Last time, again, I was talking about the article that had a lot of discussions in the community, and I was saying that we're working on many other articles. Those articles are ready, but it's still in editing process, so we didn't publish them because we still think they can improve. And we don't want to release things just to release things. So we have multiple articles already, almost about to be public, but we want to edit them and perfect them, etc. And then beside this, we have the website. In the website end, we're focusing a lot on the Eden wiki section so that it's easy for people to just easily understand everything in one page. And beside that, we have just the event that's coming up on March 28th with the ENF representing EOS generally. And that's it.
Just a question for you, Joey. Are you open to give some funds for the unclaimed initiative, because this initiative is about to return the non-used.
Oh, that one.
Okay,
can you give me
echo? There is an initiative. Yeah, into the Edenia and CD channel where you are also. I have just gave 2,500 EOS for this implementation to return the non-claimed fund to the treasury. So 500 EOS of 5,000. So that's open if you want to participate to that, because it's matter for you. Don't hesitate to participate. And that's all into the development that we have. But voila, I see Edgar, welcome. I will come back to you after the update. Joshua, you want to make your update also shortly? Then we move on to Edgar.
I've done all my Pomelo shopping, and I also went through the Eden Spend Explorer, and I categorized all my expenses ever since I started getting money from Eden, I guess when I was a delegate level 1 after the first election. So that was kind of a cool experience to do. There's some room for improvement on that Spend Explorer, but that's a pretty cool tool. And I've been sharing updates in, I think my most recent update was in the CD meeting chat. I don't think it's varied too much with messages. But my main focus right now is getting a Genesis group together, like formally, and creating a formal proposal to the ENF for these this parent DAO and the 4 child DAOs. And I would like it to be a collaborative effort of the 4 language-based groups who are enthusiastic about DAOs and starting Edens and all these different things, as well as the people who are working on different DAO tooling. And that's the main thing that I'm working on right now, but I think my update in there includes other stuff. I don't want to take up too much time in this meeting with the update, but I'm available for questions if anyone wants to talk to me in the chat or DM me or anything. A lot of you I'm already in conversations with, and I'm probably going to start creating some content and campaigning on why I think this is necessary and why people might want to get involved in. I'm getting ready to get into content mode on this project. I feel it's going to be necessary.
A little question, Joshua. What are the funds that you have given until now for this current Eden on EOS and the improvement of the things? And I know that you have gave to the upvote bot. What have you maybe contribute also?
But I'll give a formal report and like why I donated a certain project.
I will go to Edgar. You are welcome to jump in, and we will comment a little bit about the development by Edenia that you were asking to us into the private Telegram that we have together with you. What could you develop Edenia? What could develop Edenia apart of the topics that we already know into the spreadsheet that we have with the topics that we want to develop? So maybe I will let you come on this topic now. I think that's great that you are joining. I was expecting the last week and you are here today. That's nice. Thank you very much, Edgar, to join. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the invitation. Happy to be here and come and give an update. What we've been working on. Well, one, thank you so much for the support of the Spending Explorer. I just heard Joshua mention that. So thank you so much for supporting another tool built by Edenia. So the priority list is set by the CDs, right? And from the discussion, it seemed like the unclaimed funds, to quote Nathan, was a high ticket item. So, and one that we think we could tackle. So we've already begun the work, and I've included what we are proposing as the acceptance criteria for this task. One of them is clearly modifying the Eden Smart Contract Treasury to return unclaimed funds after a variable period of time. So that's up to the CDs to choose whether after 3 months or 5 months or one election or 1 month, if it's not claimed, they would be returned to the distribution fund. Investigate and validate the optimal state to allow the return of unclaimed funds. When should we make these changes? Should it be before an election, after election, to make sure that we reach the desired outcome? Then we would test the modifications to validate that that's exactly what's happening in a test net. Obviously, if we're dealing with funds, we don't want to do that in production. We want to make sure that this is tested thoroughly. And finally, we'll deploy these modifications to the production instance of Eden OS. We've already started a working document, which I will be sharing in the CD chat. But those are the kind of the high-level proposed acceptance criteria. One of the things that we've already identified for, just generally the Eden community is the funds never really leave the Genesis.Eden account until they're claimed, right? But so you might see this. You might see the treasury in the UI displayed with a certain amount, but then you look at the smart contract in a Block Explorer and you see that there's a higher amount, right? So really what's happening is once you have a delegate, it's moved away from that distribution, right? Because you're grabbing the whole fund that's available to distribute through the delegates that are elected in that round. And those are kind of earmarked already. So whether they've been claimed or not, they're out of that next distribution, right? So if someone waits 1 month or 2 months, the next distribution is not going to count those funds because they've already been earmarked to Patrick or Nathan or anybody else, right? So even though they haven't been claimed, they've already been kind of taken out of the possible distribution pool. They haven't been taken out of the account. There's not been a transaction that's made, but it's been separated. So what we're trying to understand now is, what is possible? What can we do? What can't we do? And then try and propose a solution to that. But I think that's one of the clear things that hopefully all the CDs are aware of, and the Eden community is, you will see that discrepancy. You will see an amount of funds that's in the contract itself, and you'll see what is available in the treasury to distribute. Those things are not the same because of these unclaimed funds. Hopefully, we can reclassify the funds that have been designated to distribute time to be back into the pool. So what you'll see is the treasury will increase, and then the next distribution would grab that as a total gets distributed over the delegators. But I'll be sharing more information, and hopefully we can
how
get
much of those funds that actually is.
You could actually see that in the Spend Explorer to get some actual data. From what I remember, for past elections, it's a very small number. I want to say it was somewhere between 3 and 5%. Maybe got to 8% of unclaimed. Clearly, for the most recent election, those numbers are higher, right? Because, well, people haven't gotten around to claiming those funds, and not that much time has passed. Some people, when they go back to an election to participate, say, hey, I haven't claimed, so I'm going to go claim, right? There's a big, one of the biggest examples was, I think, Aaron Cox had a lot of unclaimed funds and then ended up claiming them and then donating it back to a treasury or donating it to well, I'm not sure, or to a budget account for infrastructure. But you can use the Spend Explorer. I could probably pull up some of that data. Just anecdotally, I remember the number being really low, somewhere between 3 and 8% for past elections. And then obviously, right after an election, it's 99% is unclaimed, and then that will kind of draw down as we go on. But historically, in 3 and 8% of funds go unclaimed.
Thank you very much, Edgar. And now live into the CD meeting chat, we have Nathan James that just donated 2,000 EOS more for the unclaimed fund, plus my contribution of 2,500. That's make 4,500. There is missing just 500 because to develop this initiative of unclaimed fund by Edenia, this is about 5,000 EOS. So there is just missing 500 EOS to reach the level for Edenia to go with that, to develop that. I have no doubt for that. That's very needed. Thank you very much. I see Jesse stating that he want to jumping for this CD liaison 1 update, something that he want to share here. So Jesse, welcome.
Hey everyone. So just
And shout out Nathan.
Just real quick, I'm going to share my screen. I can't do it here. What I'll do is I'll share it in the chat, CD meeting chat. So please, you could go to the CD meeting chat. All right. So this is in regards to the voting SBT, and I contacted Lars. So Lars did this last season with the Crow, and I contacted him. He is not answering. I heard he is going through some tough times right now, so I'm not sure he will answer. However, I had my artist just put a little V1 for 6 on what he already did. So what he did was just election 5V. So we added just a 1. So this is like a backup. If the CDs don't want to spend any resources finding an artist to make a new voting SBT for this election, we can use this. Of course, if you guys want to do that, we can use a new image. But this is what we need to be gearing up for. Leister, who works for Edenia, is joining our small working group that we have for this next week. And the CDs will likely have to sign some on-chain transactions to update like the next voting SBT. So this could happen during the next election. And so that's just a little heads up. That'll probably be coming in 10 days. We had to do this also in the last season. And so, yeah, I'll keep updated on that. And that's it. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Jesse, nice work with this NFT. That's make very sense to contribute. I see Chris Barnes maybe on the last week with the bylaws asking and making some good comments about the 14 days that we have to respect. So maybe Chris Barnes, you want to join again here now that we are at the full effective here. We have Nathan James with us. We are in full power now to answer to your comment.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for bringing me on. I just maybe one thing that I did bring up last meeting, and since all 4 of you are here, I don't recall if you did an official vote as to whether you would ratify or not the previously proposed bylaws. So maybe it would be worthwhile to get that on the books since you're all here and you probably had lots of time to consider it.
So what we did is we had decided to create polls to see which parts of the bylaws would be potentially reintroduced. Those polls just got really, really low engagement. If I recall off the top of my head, I don't think any of them broke like 15 people engaging with them. That was probably the upper limit. We didn't reach a consensus between us in terms of actually putting something on paper and saying, hey, 2 out of 3 want this, or 3 out of 4 don't want it, or anything like that. So if that's something that you didn't like us to do, I don't think any of us has a problem actually putting our words down onto paper.
Yeah, I think that's the idea, just to get a public vote, so we can all as a community see where each of you stood, whether you would pass or not pass, or ratify or not ratify. Just a yes or no, and the public domain would be, I think, helpful.
Sucks that we don't have. I mean, can we do this on chain? Seems like the whole purpose of the chain.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it on chain with consortium. You can put up a poll for consortium and then have the CD EOS account sign it.
I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can also just do it right now.
And
you could just do a verbal one. I mean, I don't think there's any harm in just right now, yay or nay. Hear what you have to say, and then if you want to put it on chain too, sure, you can do that. Up to you, of course. It's your term.
The bylaw will be on chain. That's already made with Edenia. I will have a meeting with Xavier or Edgar rapidly, because we will put the bylaw on chain for sure. That was my commitment, and I say always what I say. I do always what I say. And for the induction script, I am ready to meet Jesse and then to go with Edenia and to put on chain the induction script. So it's a matter of to make that on the chain. But before to put on the chain, we have to arrive to consensus here. I am also of the guys to say the things straight to the point and loud and clear. So what about to say that into this meeting call today? Don't procrastinate and put that for the next one and the next one and the next one. And we arrive at 2 weeks of the next election and we have not even take any decision. That will be, I don't know, because we are doing a fantastic job with the funds. We are very committed as never the other CD, maybe on the other term. We are very committed with the funds, what we do with our funds, straight to the point. Now for the bylaws, I think we are able to do so. But okay, maybe each of us, we do a clear stance about these bylaws. Maybe I begin with Nathan James. What you think about this bylaw? You are ready to ratify those bylaws, or it is harmful
I think I've been very clear before. I think I've been very clear before that I have no intention of ratifying the bylaws.
So you want to ratify those bylaws? Yes, no?
That I do not want to ratify the bylaws.
You don't want to ratify the bylaws. Okay. Next one, Joey, do you want to ratify the bylaws?
No. I already mentioned it in the previous calls, and I will say it again.
Yes, say that now already, again and again. Yeah. Yeah, you will not ratify the bylaw. Okay. So, and Joshua, sorry, you were stating the last week already, but let's say, tell that again here, loud and clear.
Yeah,
what do you want to do with?
I would move to ratify them, because I don't think, especially if we ratified them right now and then we proposed, another version that could be adopted here with adjustments with the next election coming up. So that's still my stance, and I intend to contribute to putting forth something. But the deadline's coming up, so we would actually need to propose that pretty quickly here. I'm not very bullish on this Eden surviving financially, which is why I'm working on what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And I'm open to debating that with people, but this thing is burning through its treasury, and it'll be almost at zero by the end of the year.
Yeah, and not only that, you are creating a nice document that you were presenting the last week, and you were stating, by the way, that you are also creating bylaw into this document, so as a new org. So you were also a little bit confused about the bylaw to ratify them. Okay, so you are always open to ratify them. So you are the one vote here. Myself, I am not inclined to ratify this bylaw. Always for the same reason, because I think that was not the priority on this term to be the bylaw guys. Our priority on this term, that was to make the process working for the next election, doing the things, giving the funds. That's what we are doing. When you are a delegate, you see Nathan James going straight away in live and giving 2,000 EOS. That's that also, to be a delegate, to be fucking committed and give the funds, to manage the funds. So myself, not okay with this bylaw, and I don't ratify them also. So that's make Nathan, me, Joey, we are not inclined to ratify them. And we have Joshua that is open mind and stating that he's inclined to discuss. But voila, the result on live here about the bylaws.
No, but the other half of your question was, would we be putting up new bylaws for ratification, correct? Proposing new bylaws.
I didn't ask that just now, no. But I mean, that's a great question that you probably want to address fairly shortly. So yeah.
I thought it was something that was brought up last week. I'm trying to play catch. Is that something that we would like
last
to...
week?
Okay, some other comments on...
It's true, but I didn't bring it up just now. So I mean, for this meeting, I don't want to be too intrusive. But so thank you for that. I just think this public vote is important. I'm glad you've done that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, last week it was a topic, just as a reminder that the deadline is coming.
So I would make the things clear, so I hope that's okay. And also respect what Chris was stating the last week. And now that you are all here, I am okay to say. Okay, so let's move on. If you have something to ask here, jump, ask your question, make your comments, whatever will be.
Yeah, I mean, I would support having a conversation about what you guys are thinking in terms of proposing something in the bylaws for the next term.
What do you guys think about having bylaws for an organization that doesn't have any money? What is it going to govern in its bylaws?
That's the paradox of Joshua, stating that one way he wants to ratify them and now pushing this question. I appreciate, yeah. What's the point to have bylaws when the things are not clear? Better to have just some guidelines, good processes. And what about the bylaws or an agreement if the things are not clear or the funds are dying at the end of the year, as it seems to be? So what's the point? That's the question, existential question. Maybe we do a poll in the why. Why to ratify the bylaws when you have no really pulse on the sense of this Eden on EOS? That's just sandboxing to create beautiful process and make your testing a good sandboxing machine. But what about this org that Joshua is trying to create through his charter and make some good joint venture with other Eden? That's the question. And I am your moderator, by the way, so I stay neutral like a Swiss guy. What do you think, Nathan, on this point? If you have no sense of the direction, what is the goal to have the bylaws?
I think it's conflating two things, though I agree with the general sentiment is if we are stuck in this position where there's a lot of different entities pulling in a lot of different, well, not entities, a lot of different people just thinking about Eden in different ways, how is there supposed to be any additions to the bylaws if no one knows exactly where things are supposed to be going? I think that is the most valid question, regardless of what entity either sticks with or comes out of each individual CD's responsibilities or initiatives.
Good rational answer. Maybe Joey, what you think about the sentiment, current sentiment on Eden on EOS, and to have bylaws for what? For who? About what?
Sorry, I missed a little bit of the conversation. Are we talking about the bylaws that were not approved?
No, putting up new proposals for new bylaws.
Regarding the proposal from Joshua that in which
just in general, if we as CDs of this term should be proposing new bylaws, if so, what those bylaws might be, if not, why not, etc.
I don't feel the urgency of doing that, although I see that the previous CDs are how to say very focused on seeing changes in the bylaws in every term.
I suppose I could jump in and give a little feedback since I've been a CD a couple times. I think one of the things that it's not that we wanted to see changes. It's we recognize that the bylaws have always been very basic, right? So initially we created them after the first term as a very basic set of bylaws, but recognizing that as the organization advances, those bylaws are quite sparse when it comes to many of the various considerations that we probably should have as an organization into those bylaws. So it's more about the process of being aware of what's going on and iterating for improvement and adding more functionality. So for example, one thing that I would love to hear maybe all of your considerations on is the idea of, is it okay with this? We had proxies be participating in the previous election that was very publicly disclosed, that Stefan entered people into Eden to vote explicitly on his behalf as a proxy. And I feel like that's against the intention, even though it's not explicitly written in the bylaws. It is against, and maybe this is all subjective opinion, but it seems like It's against the intention of what we're trying to achieve as a group of unique humans who each have a unique voice. So having a proxy that represents you now means you're basically kind of Sybil attacking the election. And that would be a good bylaw update, for example, to make it more explicit about whether this is permissible or not. So that's an example where you could take the lessons learned from the last election and then decide or not whether you want to make bylaw changes that can address it, for example.
It's an interesting topic, honestly, because, you know, I like to think about this stuff from a game theory perspective. And I like things that can be deterministic, which is why I think I struggle a lot with the bylaws, because they're not deterministic, and maybe they're not meant to be deterministic. They're meant to be a process for people to follow in order to come to an outcome, which is, like you mentioned, intended, though possibly not stated. I think that currently the bylaws could prevent that through the dispute process already, even though it's not really stated in the bylaws that that's not possible. Just like signing something on chain, saying a yay or nay is the final word, the dispute process is really the final word inside of who can and cannot be inside of Eden, or at least at the moment until they're reinitiated into Eden, which is a whole different can of worms. But what I struggle with is that I would like to see something that says, this is exactly what you can and can't do, and then that is what can be disputed. It's not really possible, I guess, because let's take this exact situation, right? Let's use the word sock puppets, though. Maybe it's not a great word, but I'll use it for lack of a better word. I can't think of one. If somebody has sock puppets, right? And sock puppets, I just mean friends who they're influencing. How is that different from you or I or anyone else here who just simply has influence over other people, not in a bad or malicious way, but we have proven ourselves in the past to be genuine, helpful people, and therefore these other people support us. How is that different from somebody bringing their friends? And then when you bring that to the dispute process, how are you actually going to enforce that through the dispute process in a way that says on both sides, hey, I'm going to prosecute, because that's what this actually is, I'm going to prosecute this person based on the fact that they're doing this, and somebody else can stand up and say, hey, you can't prosecute this person because is this really, like, do we have those mechanisms right now in order to actually do that? There's the multiple random people who are getting selected through the dispute process, right? Is that biased? Are we adding extra abilities for people to eject people from the system by adding that stuff? I really struggle with these questions, so I really struggle with adding specific stuff like that. Though I do also agree that this is an experiment and things need to be experimented, but also I struggle with that as well, because if things are supposed to be experimented, then are we adding things that are really potentially dangerous? Because if we were to allow, what is my primary reason for not ratifying the current bylaws is that I really personally believe that they could be used as a weapon to eject certain people from the organization on all sides. People who think they're in the right, and people who other people think they're in the wrong. Maybe they think they're in the right. It's like it could be used in many different ways to just harm people. And I just can't wrap my mind around signing into effect things that could harm people from a game theory.
That's a game theory. I put it into the CD meeting chat, my personal statement. I am straight to the point and I say what I think. Sorry, guys. I think I am just committed to do all what I can to do for the next term, and be committed to have the balls to say no if we have to say no. That's more reliable than to say yes and then we not do. reliability is also sometimes to be able to say no from the beginning, or at the point when you are seeing that there is no real direction. It's better to say no than to say yes, and then you do nothing. So myself, I am like this. At this point, I don't see the point with those bylaws. I see really the point with the acclaimant funds going back to the treasury. We need more treasury in our treasury. So welcome. And we have Joey in live here that have gave 500 EOS missing for Edenia. We have the 5,000 EOS. That's a precedent. Last week also, we were very committed. So we are just doing at our level what we can do as delegate. We are fucking committed with the funds. That's also to be a delegate. And the bylaws, since the beginning, that's really difficult to take a position on that, because the things, sorry to say, are a little bit in a strange paradoxal situation, and I don't want to be irrational and say yes, and then I will regret. I don't feel good. I don't feel good. So that's why I am not inclined to go with those bylaws, for some reason also of that James pointed. Okay, sorry, that's the day of the bylaws, but we have to be clear. We have to be clear. Okay, someone else want to jump and about any subject? Bylaws, unclaimed funds, UTC time on the website now. Well done by Edenia, by the way. And other things. That's the time to jump in, first serve, first come, first serve. Okay, I see we have good people here as always. We have Luka Persic also here. Shout out to Luka.
I have a question.
If you want to
in the
jump
chat.
and say something, welcome. Andrew, Joey, Joshua.
Can you hear me? I think you have a delay.
You have a question in the chat.
Yeah, he has a delay. Yeah. Go ahead.
What is the plan for this Eden?
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. What is the plan for this Eden org to survive financially beyond this year? Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
That's the time of the silence. It's better sometimes to say nothing. You ask good question, Joshua. And you yourself the answer.
I have an answer which I'll present before the election, but that's the question I'll be asking people in my room.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't get a good answer, I'm not going to vote for that person.
Joshua, could you repeat the question?
I see a question of you, Joshua.
Yeah, the question is,
you say maybe we need a dissolution process.
Yeah, because this organization doesn't have a benefactor, and it's going to run out of money by the end of the year. So what do people think is a good plan for it to survive financially? And if it's not going to survive financially, then what function is it going to serve? And maybe the bylaws need to be looked at from that perspective of, we're governing something that doesn't have much of a treasury.
And what about to fund us between ourselves and to contribute between ourselves? What about? You ask for more funds for this org that you see an org. Others are seeing that as a fantastic sandbox machine. Then you go on Pomelo with a grid project. We have the unclaimed fund that will come back to the treasury, by the way. Oh, see the graph of Edenia into the private channel that we have. A nice graphic about how many funds were not claimed. So before to cry on the knees and ask for new funds, maybe we have to help us between us, or I am totally irrational.
I want to respond to what Joshua is saying. To me, Joshua, it seems a bit overly pessimistic to me, mainly because I think we should put up a proposal on chain before we assume that this organization will not be funded. We have not yet put up an official proposal on chain to the ENF. And I believe that needs to happen first before we can say that this organization will for sure not be funded.
What would you if we had to just get to a concise essence of things, what do you think would be included in such a proposal? What is the offer to the VPs or the ENF or the stakeholders of the network?
Well, I think Eden does a really good job of providing a sandbox to the EOS community. There's a certain freedom, and there's a lot of innovation, obviously, on the election process. But this is obviously, like what you're saying, yes, there needs to be a detailed, thought out proposal, and it needs to be worked on.
No, I'm
I
not
think
even
whatever
saying the details.
the direction to me doesn't really matter, Joshua. As long as something is put up, some idea is put up, and we at least try and see what they think.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be detailed at this point. I think there needs to be a signal. Normally, before the BPs pass proposals, they have enough signal of intent that they know that the proposal is going to pass before they even put it up there. Otherwise, they don't put it up there typically. And that's a pretty good rule of thumb. So where do we have a signal of intent from key stakeholders in EOS who make decisions and control money that this Eden org is going to be getting any continued funding in its current state? And as far as I know, the last signal of intent came from the meeting with Yves with the CDs several weeks ago. And the sentiment of that meeting was that basically this org or the people who care about it or want something like it to happen need to do something impressive, because right now it is not in favor and it is no longer on the budget line item as it used to be for the ENF, according to what the director said.
Hey, I'm sorry guys, I gotta go. My daughter just got hurt. I'll catch you guys later.
Okay. I want to answer to you, Joshua. You see Eden as an org, you see Eden dying at the end of the year with the funds, the treasury. You take the last call with Yves Larose that we had. We were 4 on this call, 5 with Yves. I have a takeaway of this last call with Yves that was very, for me, insightful and confirming also some things that we have to do. It's all about the processes. He was stating clearly also about that we have to strengthen the processes into this term, and that's what we are doing for the next term. The things will go more smoothly with the upvote bot by Luka, the Unclaimed Fund initiative. So if you see all those initiatives like something lost because you have a new idea about a new org, and I was reading your document and I was seeing a column with 1 million grant of ENF, 1 million grant of ENF for the new Eden on EOS. Seems to be something I don't know, irrational, when we heard from Yves himself that he will delete from his budget the line about Eden on EOS, when he has already given funds to IFA. So that's a little bit. I understand what you are striving, and I respect very much, and I take the time also to read. At the same time, I think us as a CD, we have 3 months here. We want also to ensure the continuation for the next term. That goes very well. Some of us, maybe we will continue as a delegate level 1 on the next season, or maybe we will continue as a chief delegate, who knows. But I stay, everyone, we have our idea on this term. We are not really working together. We are more working on our things, everyone. And when it comes to take some decision together, we have some struggle because the things are not so clear. That's why it's difficult to answer to Chris. Today, I was very committed to, not only for Chris, but to come with a good statement today, what we want to do. I hope you take fair my comment, Joshua.
I would also like to comment a couple of things if there's time, guys.
Hello, Luka. How are you?
Hello. Okay, so
absolutely welcome.
Yeah, I set up the microphone. I didn't have it prior. So I just want to comment about proxies. I mean, the proxies were first proposed by Dan. He was basically proposing that if, let's say, developers don't want to spend time, or if they don't feel they are charismatic enough, that they should just have like proxies for them, or running people or basically the people can just run on the project that they like. So I personally don't see any issue with that. The issue is, are the people real?
Yeah.
And and do they have like a pistol to their head or something like that? That is an issue if they're forced to vote that way. But if they're personally trusting a specific person, I mean, this was just the first. The second you try to forbid that or to punish it, people will just not tell you, and they will still do the same. You can still proxy the vote and not tell anybody. Like, you can just do what they tell you to do. So it's just like, it's completely unenforceable. And also, I mean, the reason they told you is basically you can now use that to either vote for them more or less, So that's like a data point that they give you for free that they probably shouldn't. So next time they just wouldn't do that. And I don't see any reason to stop that. It wasn't in the design. And also then basically was suggesting something similar. Like basically just having representatives that want to support you and they can just run for you, or somebody in your team can run for you and they can just vote for, whoever will give them the most money to this specific project or something like that. So I don't see how this goes against anything that was set up. This, and maybe just a little comment about
thank you very much.
About how this organization will run out of money. I mean, this was always the issue. It's like, it's ongoing, and it's not really solvable. It's just like, do your best job, and at some point when there will not be enough money, we will ask again, and that's it. And if new money will come, the organization will leave, otherwise it will die. But it's not something to be asking. I think it's not something to be asking yourself all the time, because it's just not productive. It just doesn't let you move forward. So I don't see the point. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Luka. Wise board, as always. Thank you very much. I see a great comment here into the CD meeting chat by Andrew Ware, stating, discovering people who are good at achieving consensus. Exactly. Into Eden on EOS, we find those people that are able to achieving consensus and move on and be committed, reliable, resilient, doing what they say, or saying nothing but just doing. We have many categories. I agree. We have to do our best, everyone, for this term, what we can do and beyond. For me, it's not dying for the next election, for sure not. So that's why we have to be very committed for the next election if we want to have more traction. So Rome is not made in one day, and certainly not during these 3 months. So I am happy to be a CD. I am very happy to be here. I think we are all happy to be into this experiment. That's an experiment. And that's a sandboxing. Not only for the tools, but between humans. We are sandboxing our behaviors also, reputation, non-transferable token with the CBIL token, Solbal token, and CBIL protection reputation system. I am proud for all what we are doing here. I don't know for you, but the bylaws, I don't know if it is really not our goal to ratify those bylaws. Indeed, I am asking myself, what is the role of a chief delegate? Is it really the goal of a chief delegate to ratify bylaws? Because if it is the only thing that is preoccupating, what about the rest? You don't build, you are stuckhead, you are just writing documents. I am not good at that, for sure, no. But I am better into the action. So someone else here want to jump and make his voice heard, ask question, make some good vibes here, or maybe some critics. All welcome. Jump in, first come, first serve. I see Andrew, I see Dansinjoy, I see Edgar still here. Thank you very much, Edgar, to be here. Evgeny of Russia, that should be late there. Shout out. CIC. You are all welcome. Don't be shy. Let's enjoy. Maybe the best dog in the galaxy want to say something here. You have a comment or just a hello. Or I see Andrew also. Make just an hello if you have no question.
I'll just jump
or
really
CIC.
quickly.
Edgar.
And thanks for the continued support for not only the specific projects this CD season has, but for Edenia generally running the infrastructure. We've had unwavering support, and we'll continue to do that as long as we have the privilege to. So, I mean, you know, we'll add where we can, and I think we've found that the technical part is where we can add the most, and hopefully help figure out exactly the questions around, you know, funding, longevity of the organization, purpose of the organization, and its structure. But I think that's built around great working tech. So that's always something that I would encourage we continue to invest.
Yeah, shout out to you, Edgar, for all what you are doing with Edenia, with your brother, Javier, and your team. You are a great team. I am always comfortable to support you, to interview you again, for all what you are doing for the ecosystem, the EOS ecosystem, the Antelope ecosystem. You have nice tool now with the Antelope tools. I love that. It's all about tooling. We have a great tooling. We are experimenting how to behave between humans. We are also experimenting that into Hidden Fractal, by the way. We have the tools now on the table, and now we have to figure out how we want to interoperate between us, and maybe letting circulate more EOS between us, collaborating between us, setting a collaborative culture on EOS, on the Antelope networks, on the EOS digital extended networks. Oh yeah, I am so happy for the March 23rd when I will announce what I am building, not only for myself, but for the entire community, because if that serves some people into this community, I am very happy, and I can die quietly because I will have made what I have to do for this community. And I think all of us here, we are happy to be here because you are doing what we love, and we know also why we are doing the things. And I agree, we have to be very independent, doing our things, don't regret anything. Jesse, you have to leave soon, yeah. So Jesse, I let you maybe the last word of the bees here to inject the best nectar into the mindset of the people. That's our motto. So Jesse, maybe the words of the end for today. A little good advice by Jesse here before to leave in peace.
Okay.
In peace.
Yeah, just always glad to be here. This is a really interesting experiment. And I hope Eden can continue. And I hope for the best for everyone. Excited for the next election. And yeah, everyone have a great night, great day, wherever you are. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Jesse. And I enjoy to see the video coming up for March 23rd. Jesse, great guest on the Antelope Swiss workshop. And shout out to everyone here. So we will leave at 3210 with Heart, Soul, and Mind. Go Eden on EOS. 3, 2, 1, and 0. Go Eden on EOS. Excellent. And click the risky button, Jesse. Thank you very much.